It's getting down to the crunch time. How am I coping? Find out in today's episode. G'day, my name is Sean. This is my weekly update where I share my quilting adventures. Let's go ahead and get started with our works in progress. This has been a fun week. Most of the week has been focused on one or two projects, which I'll show you in just a moment. But I have done a little bit of progress on the Scrappy Star, and this is how it turned out. Last week I showed you the center part of this because I realized I hadn't put it together, but now we have got it fully together. And I think this one turned out really nicely. I love the butterfly in the middle and this bright lime green. I'm not quite sure how to call it. It's turned out really nicely, so there you go. So that has been a lot of fun. These are 3-inch squares, and the next project I'm going to show you is another one very similar to it, because apparently this is something I do now. And that's the Scrappy Diamonds, but these are much, much bigger. I got a little shocked when this came in the mail and it was as big as it was, because you can see that's a whole lot of difference. These are going to be 4x7, so absolutely enormous compared to the other ones. This is just one of the patterns inside. And so I did 2 of these this week because these went together super quickly. This is the first one here. I'll show you a little more detail there. I love this sheen here in the middle. I think this turned out really nicely. And then the second one I have not trimmed yet, so it doesn't look quite as pretty. But this is how it looks here. It has some Tula pink in the middle and then some solids here on the outside. So I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this. The goal of this one here is I plan to make a lap quilt with it. So one of these pads is enough to do a lap quilt, which is really fun. So I'm going to be really looking forward to doing that over the coming weeks and months. It might take me a while, but you know, it's going to be a lot of fun as I make it. And then the other work in progress I'm very, very excited to show you. I finished quilting it last night, but I still had to put the binding and everything else on it, is the State Fair quilt. So we're doing pretty well. I'm a week out from having to submit this. All we have left now is the binding and the hanging sleeves, so we're in pretty good shape, I think. So I did straight line quilting on all the black, and then each of the colors have been quilted a little differently. Some have similar features, but I tried to make each one different. I'll show you most of it as the best I can. And then I still got to, you know, do some trimming and stuff on the back, but I think it turned out pretty well. And I like my chances of, you know, placing pretty well at the show. But we'll see what the other competition comes out with as well. You know, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because there are some very, very talented quilters here in Virginia. So that's what I have for my works in progress. I do have some other stuff to show you later on the episode. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do our week in review. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. It's always great to have you. This is a series of videos I take during the week, most of me sewing, but also of any adventures we get up to. So I hope you enjoy. Last week I asked everybody how you iron, whether your iron just seems open or to the side and that sort of thing there, and I loved reading all the responses. Thank you so much. I always love seeing the responses and comments on the videos each week. Most of you tend to press to the one side unless it's very, very small blocks and that sort of thing, like the Art East ones that I do, or very, very small paper piecing where you tend to open. But for the majority, most of you press to the side, which is a lot of fun to hear. This week I wanted to ask, since we're kind of in that same sort of frame of mind, is how do you quilt? Do you stitch in the ditch? Do you do free motion? Do you do straight line quilting like I was showing you a moment ago? Or do you do ruler work or something totally different? Or do you just send it out to long armor? Let me know in the comments. So what are my goals for this week? Well, it's fairly plain and simple for this here. I need to finish my State Fair quilt and finish the buffalo plaid quilt because our exchange student will be arriving on Saturday. So, we have less than a week to get this finished. But I feel like I'm in a good position where, as long as I don't dawdle, we'll get it all done in time. What are your goals for this week? Next up is our news and events, and I had a couple of lives this week. Last Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, I was over at my friend Tammy, the Siberian Wind, where I did some quilting on the State Fair quilt that I showed you just a few moments ago. Yesterday morning I had my friend Annette from the FabricMagician. We hung out for a little bit. I did more quilting on that. That just seems to be a theme this week. We had a lot of fun. If you missed those videos, go check them out. If you duck over to Tammy's, tell her I sent you and that I said hi. She's always a lot of fun, great channel, and along with Annette, she has a wonderful channel as well. This Saturday morning, I'll have my friend Danny from So Not an Expert join me. I'm really looking forward to having her with us, and it would be really great to see her hit 1,000 before she hits the live, but if not, maybe during the live. She's been working so hard for that goal, I'd love to see her hit that sooner rather than later. Yesterday, I got to go to the Tidewater Quilt Guild biannual quilt show in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of quilts from very talented people in our local area here, and I really enjoyed myself. I'll do a more in-depth video later on. You probably got to see some of the footage from that show yesterday, but I did pick up a couple of things there while I was there yesterday. I usually don't buy a whole lot of the quilt show, but this was one item that I saw that I thought would be a lot of fun to do later down the road. So this is actually an applique program, applique pattern. I'll get it right there in a minute. It's way too early in the morning. So this is Cape Hatteras, which is on the Outer Banks, which is just a couple of hours from here. I thought it would be really fun to do this as an applique project. I haven't opened it up to take a look inside yet, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So that's it there. And then I also won a prize. You know, when you go to these quilt shows, they tell you to put your name in that, drawing, and, some lucky person always wins something. And I figured, that won't be me, but I'll put my name in the hat anyway. So I got home, they called me at 3 o'clock and said, hey, you won a prize, come over and get it. So in the car I went. 45 minutes later, I'm back at the quilt show, and I won this design wall system. So this is really, really neat. It ends up being about 48 by 48, so I've got to figure out where to put it. But just to show you a quick idea of what's inside, this is the pattern that they have. It's all different colors, although you could mix it up and do it your own way if you want. I'm thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different. And then these are just a couple of examples of what's inside. These are the actual blocks themselves, 12 inches. They come in all different colors. I've got like blue, yellow, all these colors basically. So this is what we have here. So I can do it like this. I can mix it up a little bit. So again, I've got to figure out where I'm going to put this, but it's got to go up somewhere, and I think it's going to be really helpful in the future. I've always wanted to do a design wall, but just never got around to buying one, and now I don't have to because I got one free of charge. So I'm very, very thankful for the folks over there at the Tidewater Quilt Guild for drawing out my name. I was very surprised, wasn't expecting this, but it's going to be a lot of fun there. So stay tuned for future details. Maybe I'll do an unboxing video in the future as well. And to finish off the episode, I want to show you an update on another project I've been working on, which is the Buffalo Plaid quilt, which I'm doing for an exchange student who's arriving on Saturday. Last week, you may remember me talking about how I made the blocks too small and I ran out of fabric, and I was trying to figure out how to make this thing work. So I came up with a solution early in the week. I sewed it all together like a madman, and I think I'm really happy with the end project. So what I ended up doing is putting a 3-inch navy border around the edge, and then doing smaller pieces of this because I had just enough fabric to do it this way. So this is how it turned out. I'll put up a photo in just a moment to show you how it looks overall, but I think this turned out really nicely. So now it actually has turned in from a lap quilt, which is what it was going to be if I wasn't careful, into a twin bed quilt here as well. So yeah, super happy with how this turns out. I'm putting a photo up here to show you how it looks at the very, very end. So this week we'll get it quilted and on the bed before she arrives on Saturday. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. It's the best way to tell me that you're enjoying yourself. Tell a friend. I always love hearing comments from my viewers. I hope you all have a great day. Happy sewing, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.